Hey Yakitori guy here. It's still winter, but today is a nice sunny day here in Florida, so I'm outside here making some yakitori. And today I wanted to share with you guys the one must-watch video to help you guys make yakitori like a pro. All my previous videos collectively have all the information you guys need to make really good yakitori at home. So I hope you guys watched them all. However, in case you needed a refresher or you're new to this channel, I made it even easier for you to learn. I went ahead and rewatched all my original videos and made a single comprehensive video showing all the simple tips to help take your yakitori from noob to pro. Alright, before we move on, I must remind you to subscribe to this channel so you guys can be notified of all the cool new videos coming up next. If you love what you're seeing, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And also, if you really like what you're seeing, you can donate some chickens to help support the channel below. So here are my top 10 tips that I learned from leading yakitori masters in Japan and the US. When I buy a whole chicken, I can guarantee that it's gonna taste better because it's gonna be fresher. And the reason for that is anytime chicken is cut and exposed to air, it's gonna oxidize and it's gonna lose its freshness. It's gonna lose its juices and flavors over time. So if you were to buy packaged chicken thighs or chicken breasts sitting on the shelves, or maybe sitting on the deli and on that shelf, you don't know when they cut it. Maybe they cut it that morning, maybe it was 3 days ago, maybe it was a week ago. You can guarantee that it's not gonna be as fresh as a chicken that you cut right there, finally being exposed to the air the moment you cut it. So for me to make yakitori, and for anyone out there who wants to make good yakitori, just start with a whole chicken. Always skewer on your cutting board, not skewer mid-air. And what I mean by mid-air is don't take your skewer and in mid-air start poking and skewering it. You always want to leave it on the cutting board. So I'm leaving it flat on the cutting board, skewering it through flat. And actually what's going on is I have my right hand, my left hand, and the cutting board act as essentially my third hand. It's holding this in place. Now, if I do this, I can always consistently know that the only possible movement of air is going to be this X and Y axis. If I do it in mid-air, we have X, Y, and a Z axis. You want all the yakitori to be the same size, same shape as much as possible, because when you're cooking it, if they're different sizes and different shape, they're going to cook unevenly. When you're cutting the chicken, it's very important that the pieces stay the same. Also, when you're skewering it, you want to make sure they stay the same. So flat, skewer through, skewer, okay, skewer through. Always want the nice center of balance. The live art electric grill that I use mainly, and a lot of you guys have, that's resting on a metal mesh grate. Traditional binchotan yakitori shops, basically they're grilling between two rods, and in that case having it centered is very important, or else this is going to flip around on that grill. So making sure that nice center balance is very important. Think of the customer. If they're going to grab that skewer and about to eat it, if it's lopsided, it just doesn't feel right. So to show your craftsmanship, you want to show that it's nice and centered. Another thing to note is leaving the skewers out. I've definitely seen a lot of people when they're beginning to make yakitori, there's maybe like 1 inch or 3 inches of skewer coming out. If you have that much skewer coming out the end, when you're biting it, if your friend guest is biting it, it's gonna choke them on the back of the throat. So all you need is just a little bit, just so that the meat won't fall off, or if you're cooking on a traditional rod yakitori grill, just enough so that it hangs on the rods. I wanna make this look even prettier, so what I always do is I end up just trimming the sides like this. A little too fat for people to bite into, so this is where we can trim. By trimming the skewers, not only does it look consistent and prettier, it also cooks much more evenly. Season with salt on both sides. Half heart, yakitori baka style heart. I'll also sort of midway salt, just to make sure the salt gets in there a little bit more. Salted in the beginning, but midway salt. And I'm using the kosher salt. It's really big grains of salt. It allows me to see how much exactly I'm putting on. And so you always want to salt both sides first before you grill. And you can definitely salt as you go too. Sometimes the salt might drip off. And that's some sake spray, spray a little bit more sake. And the sake spray to add moisture, a little bit of sweetness, umami. It's gonna actually caramelize over the yakitori a bit. The salt is to just bring out the flavor. The sake is to really add the extra flavor, the coating, the sweetness to the yakitori. The moisture from the sake really helps to prevent the yakitori from drying out. The key is you don't want to dry out your meat. Constantly rotating it. As long as it's hot enough, it's gonna start releasing the juices, the fats. And you don't want that to drip to the bottom. You want to cook in its own fat. So constantly rotating it. I also like to rotate it onto its sides. A lot of yakitori you might just cook basically the top and bottom, but this one's cooking around the sides. Okay. These tare back on the grill. Tare back on the grill. Easy to do 2 at once. Dip this into the tare. Make sure all the juices go back into the pot. It's really about getting that coating. The tare, let it char a bit, caramelize. It's that smell. As soon as a tare hits this grill, the coils or charcoal drips down on there, it gets hot. It just creates this really umami rich sort of soy flavor, that smell, and that's the yakitori smell that I just can't get enough of. And dip again, that final coat of tare here, so the gizzard. Then I want to put some hot mustard as a condiment to this. Wasabi on this side, and umeboshi or shisume on this side, and shimi, which is a Japanese spice blend, and neck, shoulder, and butt area. Hokkaido negima, drumstick, and the red onions with tare. This one I recommend to eat with the karashi mustard. And this is the regular negima with the green onions, which just eat on its own. But black squid ink salt adds a nice color, as well as this sort of salt taste. Lime, salt, and then just the natural juices of the chicken. Mune, so breast with the chicken fat in between. Yuzu kosho on top. My signature tender AF skewer with all the tender part with hinome or sansho leaf on top. Yuzu kosho powder. Knee cartilage lollipop. Fine sea salt, sprinkle that on top. Also leave some on the side, both for color, just that extra saltness. I actually really like to serve this with Meyer lemon, just to kind of change up the smell and the flavor a little bit. And another thing that I want to stress about, if you have these paddle skewers, make sure they're facing the same way. Especially if you have few skewers and they're all facing different ways, it doesn't look right, doesn't look neat. These are small details that a shop in Japan will really care about. This ume. Then I'm gonna top it off, small fish. So we have here, you see the shisomaki or surf and turf. Trimmings wrapped in shiso leaf with ume sauce, small fish on top. We have lime, yuzu kosho, chicken wings. Miso cured salami from Public and Meat Market. I'm just gonna be shaving this on. Sansho, Japanese peppercorns, just lightly. And I have some shichimi over egg yolk a bit. This is the tsukune with egg yolk. Gizzard yakitori, fresh chicken liver, lettuce yasai maki. This is the uzurano tamago yakitori, shoyu and sake marinated garlic, zucchini with crispy garlic chili oil. Here, the yakitori baka Tokyo style chicken heart, fold it over. Chicken, you can have all sorts of variety of different flavor and textures. Be nice and yolky. Candy garlic. The cartilage crunch. Miso, tare. Perfect. All right, that's it for today's video. If you really enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and make sure to leave some comments. Don't forget to subscribe and donate some chickens. Thanks, and see you in the next video. Bye guys.